Hi, I am Víctor, and here with me is
Kieran.
he's Kieran, and we are driving in my Model 3. Now, Kieran, I know that we've had this conversation without recording a couple of times, but you are interested in renting your Tesla and to see if you can actually make money out of that, right?
Yeah, I'd like to know if I can make money from renting out my Tesla and hiring it out. I've heard that you can hire them out through Eeve platform, and I was keen to hear. I heard that you had actually had some experiences hiring your car out, and I want to know what it was like.
Yes. So there's a lot of stuff to go through. There's goods, there's bads, there's a little bit of hidden things and some cheeky stuff. So first of all, I am guessing you already have ideas that a lot of people have, like you would just go and you would make money and you would rent it, I'm guessing. So let's start with you. What would you like out of it? Because I'm guessing that would be what other people are thinking about it.
Exactly. Well, I guess what I would like is be able to I've spent all this money on an expensive car that's a bit more expensive than what I'd normally buy. And I'm sure other people want to give it a go, try it out. So can I hire it out to other people? They can give it a go, and I can make a little bit of extra money.
Yeah. So as an owner, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. There's lots of videos of people doing it, and I don't think they give the whole picture because it is not a perfect solution. And I need to be very, very clear about that because I've done it and I've had mixed experiences. The first one is everyone is scared if they're going to do something to the car, and that's where the insurance comes in. So, but that is again a mixed bag. The first one is I already had insurance. I had insurance for Budget Direct. I am over 40 years, so I was not paying too much. I was paying around $1,200 a year. Now, you need to hire the insurance through Eeve. Right now, as I was over 40 years old and with a brand new Tesla 2022 from March, I was paying $248 a month. So the insurance, it doubled and then a bit more in price. So there is a cost even if you...
So compared to your insurance that you have with the car, you have to pay extra insurance through Eeve in order to hire the car through it.
Yes.
And it's double the price.
It is roughly probably a bit more.
When I did look into it, because if you do have your own insurance, a lot of, I guess, normal insurance doesn't allow you to hire a car out.
Yes.
So you have to go, I guess when I looked into the platform, the fact that they do have their own insurance was good because it meant that I didn't have to worry about getting a particular plan with my insurer that would cover that.
Yes. So that makes it easier. And that was good. At the beginning, I thought it was good. Then there's a couple of caveats. We'll go through them in a little bit about how they do business, like the business opening hours and how hard they are to reach. We'll go through that because that is a bit of a problem. And that's the problem that I found with insurance. So you don't have to pay insurance. You don't even need to insure the car with them until you rent it. So, but when you rent it, obviously you have to go and... Yeah.
Are you required to use their insurance?
You are. You cannot use the platform without the insurance from them. They sent me the quote, and I believe that the quote was a little bit misleading because when they sent me the quote and I spoke to the person, they quoted me for around $1,600, and I said, it's just a little bit more than I'm paying. But what they didn't mention, and that bothered me because I had to go and look under the small print and read the contract, which you should always do.
Definitely.
Always do.
Yes.
Is that quote was only from June till December. It was only for half the year. And also, it is a full contract. You cannot break it or they're gonna, I haven't broken it. I don't know how easy or how hard it is, but like any other contract, you have to finalize it or they're gonna penalize for you getting out of it. So take it as it may just be regular insurance, although in insurances that I've been able to actually cancel them and move to one and move to another one as I go. In this one, apparently, for what I've read, without having experience, you cannot do that. So once you are with them, you got to stay with them until the end of the contract. Again, you may be able to have a chat with them and, negotiate with them and they would be nice. I don't know that bit. Yeah. But it's something to consider.
Is there like an exit fee or some other early
that would have to be, person to person and car and different things. But yes. So as with any contract, when you break it, there may be an exit fee and there may be other charges. But again, there's what I pay is probably more or less of what other people would pay. I'm guessing over 60s will pay less, and then on the 30s would pay more, and so on and so forth, different states.
Yep.
We are, oh, by the way, we're in South Australia. We're in Adelaide. The other one is what I was talking about, the opening hours. The opening hours are a little bit of an issue. So they
So
only...
is this the insurance company opening hours or Eeve opening hours?
Well, it gets a little bit tricky with that because Eeve says that this insurance... so there's a little bit of a gotcha. Eeve says that this is the insurance that you have to talk to.
Yeah.
However, from going backwards and forwards with them, it seems that the insurance they're using is it's an insurance broker that anyone can go and sort of like resell from them as if it was, hosting from a website.
Oh, yeah, like
and
a reseller or something.
yes,
yeah.
so it seems like Eeve is reselling an insurance from an insurance broker.
Yeah.
So even at some point I was having some issues and I tried to call them. I said, no, you gotta ring Eeve. So I am guessing Eeve is just reselling their own insurance and they are trying to sort of, I don't want to say hide, but they are not being very obvious about that.
Yeah.
The second one that I'm the most concerned is they open at they close at 2 o'clock and you cannot reach them.
Okay.
That, considering that there's only a 24-hour period for you to actually... Yeah, go on.
Do they have like a 24-hour emergency line if you do
No.
need to make a claim or something
They
like that?
do not. They
Okay.
do not. And the insurance, again, there's no insurance company that you can call. There's no like Budget Direct or whatever
Yeah.
you want. AGL or whatever. So you have to ring through them, and it's a nightmare because they close at 2 o'clock, and that's it. But the second problem with that is that when someone rents your car, you only have 24 hours to reach them. You lose the reservation, which has happened twice for me already. Because I didn't see the email, and the first time it was because we couldn't sort out the insurance in time. And I had a little bit of a nightmare scenario as well with that one because I confirmed it thinking that I was insured, and a paper was missing that I didn't sign on my own fault. And then I was trying to reach them because I was going to deliver the car literally that same day at 4 o'clock, and the car was not insured. And I was trying to reach them and I couldn't reach them, and it was a massive nightmare because it was like 1:30, the guy was coming from the airport, I need to deliver the car to him, and there was no one answering my calls. It was a problem. That being said, once you sort of like sort all of that out, it is a smooth experience with them because you don't really need them that much. Essentially, you do most of your own stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's, the money. Which is, I'm guessing, what a lot of people want to know. Depending on your car, you actually put the amount of money that you want to keep.
So this is like for somebody renting on the website, how much it costs to rent it.
Yeah, well, you can go and set up the price. You can, if you have a Model 3, you can ask for $700. You probably won't get it, but you can.
Yeah.
I put mine for $250. Which is a little bit more expensive than some of the other ones, but this one is the newest model. Most of them in the platform in the state, they were like 2020 or 2019.
Yeah. So I guess if somebody's looking, they might, if you have a cheaper one, you might get more hires, like more people
Correct.
getting it because it's cheaper. But then also, if you have a better vehicle or something a little bit unique, maybe a color that isn't offered or something, you can have a bit higher price, maybe that sort of thing. So, yeah.
And also, well, my train of thought with that was, if someone is hiring it because what they are after is to try the new model because they're thinking of buying one, well, chances are they may spend a little bit more to get the newest one because that's the one that they will purchase at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that would be exactly the same model.
Yeah, well, I guess that is the thing with Teslas, because there's no like 2023 or 2022 model, and they continuously upgrade it. So you just sort of you want to have one that's similar to the one you're going to get, because there are like different things
They're different, many things like that. Now this one is the absolute base model. It's not because there's performance models in the platform. There is many other things. This one is just like the base. And a big reason of what I got, because this is my second Tesla, and a big driving force of why I even got the second Tesla was specifically for this purpose.
Yeah.
To rent it out and to sort of like, get it paid on its own, which it has worked. Like at the end of the day, the car, for the credit that I put on it, it has been free, if we want to call it that,
Okay, but I guess you've still got the outlay of the whole thing. Are you talking about like repayments for your loan for it? Or?
Yes. So the way
Okay.
that I did it is I put it on my mortgage, and
Yep.
then so I got a very low rate over a certain amount of time. So that way I'm actually, with the I think $1,200 that I made this month. This is just the amount of money that I made this month.
And that covers your repayments.
That
for
would
this
cover
month.
my repayments. That's
Yeah.
correct. So essentially, for all intents and purposes, I'm getting a free car.
Yep.
But with all of those good things, there's also some nightmare scenarios. And we were talking about last time that one of those ones happened to me very recently.
Yeah, I want to hear about this.
Yes.
And I haven't heard the full story yet.
You haven't heard the full
really,
story.
Really keen to hear about what happens.
So, well, I'll start with how the experience works. So the person contacts you with the app, and they said, I want to rent your Tesla.
Yep.
And you go say, yep, sure. Absolutely, every time you should contact them and ask them what they're going to use a Tesla for. Now, I was getting cocky and I did not do this with this guy, which I should have, and everyone should,
Yep.
because I was not particularly happy with the way that he used them. A little bit on me, a little bit on him, because I don't think he was honest, but we'll get to that. So the guy comes around, and usually when they come around, you spend from 10 to 45 minutes and explaining how the car works, how to open the door,
Yep.
how the keys work,
Charging.
charging, all of that kind of stuff. Because, there's caveats. I am one, and this is a video that we should make, that I'm always concerned is about how you change gears from reverse to drive, because lots of people would use that specific side to signal right or left. Anyway,
Yeah, the European side versus the
the other side. Anyway, you go through all of that, and I usually have a little chat with him. In this case, what the guy said is, "Oh, I'm just gonna, I may take it for a bit of a drive. I have a couple of appointments, but I don't think I'm gonna take it that far." I said, great. Now, on the platform at that point and on my ad, it says that there's a maximum of 250 kilometers per day. We're all very happy. The guy drives around. I start getting notifications on my app that he's doing a supercharging in Clare, which is around 200 kilometers. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so that's quite a fair way away, Claire. It's
2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours.
It'll take you to get there.
And I realized that he's doing that because I got the message from the app that that he has stopped charging in Clare. I was like, oh well, that's a little bit of a drive. I'm not particularly happy with that, but that's all right. And then I start getting these notifications because I have put a limiter in the speed because I don't want to get speed tickets for 120 k's an hour.
Yeah.
And I start getting all of these notifications that he's driving to 115, 115, 115. I'm like, oh well. I'm not super worried about that because sometimes you need to overtake and you go a little bit over, that's fine. But I start thinking, oh, those are lots of them. He should be driving back by now. And then so I go at that point concerned, and I realize that he's driving north. Now, for those that don't know where Adelaide is, he should have been driving south to get back home. But he wasn't. And I realized, because I've taken a screenshot of how many Ks he had when I gave him the car, that he has driven over 400 kilometers at that point.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Now,
So it's double.
double for that day only. Now I start getting concerned because I don't know if that is going to affect my insurance as well. So I literally go and give him a call. I said, hey mate, just remember that there's 250 kilometers. I'm very worried about the insurance. What are your plans? Like, oh, I'm just driving around. I'm going to go to Arno Bay. At that point, I checked the map, and Arno Bay was still another 350 kilometers away.
Yeah.
And
Were
he
you
was
still on the phone call with him?
I
while
was
you were
still in
there?
the phone call with that. He was super nice. He was like, oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize it. I thought it was just closer. I'm from New South Wales, yada, 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 yada.
Yep.
All of that was very amicable. At any point, I got in any issues with him. But I'm starting to feel like, this guy maybe... Anyway,
Yeah.
he's driving to Arno Bay. And he said, oh, I am only like 300 kilometers away, or it's like 450 to drive back.
Yeah.
I am happy to drive back and just give you the car back. And I'm like, well, there's no point in that right now. So anyway, 6% Arno Bay. I called him and I said, get to the charger, get to the chopper.
Get home, yeah.
Get home, well, whatever you're doing. At that point, the car was already parked.
Yeah.
And he's not answering the phone. I'm getting really concerned. And then in the app, I noticed that he's driving. And eventually he just plugs it in, but he just plugs it in a 2 kilowatt.
As in a normal 240 volt plug, like a
Just like a
standard
like a
house
house plug. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, mate, that's not gonna be enough. At that point, he was gonna have the car for 3 days. That was the first day. Like, oh, he's gonna have to,
Yeah.
do stuff. Like, he had no plan, no nothing, and I was getting really, really concerned.
Well, I guess I'd like to fill everyone in. So if you do plug it into a 240 volt, like a normal house plug, it takes, I don't know, about 24-ish
Roughly.
hours to charge it from 0 to full.
I checked because it gives you the
Yeah.
time, and it said 24 hours plus.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, well, he told me that the next day he was going to take it nice and easy. I was like, oh, well, if he leaves it there, and he doesn't use the car, he doesn't use it that much, he'll be fine. At least he'll be able to go back to Clare, which is almost a full charge from where he was to Clare.
Yeah.
So that's all right. That's all good. And then the next day, I wake up and the very first thing that I do is check how much the car charged because I am concerned. And I see there's like 40-something%. Like, oh, well, whatever. I leave it there, and then I start, like 3 or 4 hours later, I start getting those messages again. He's doing over 115, very close, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? I go check the app, and he was driving south from Arnold Bay, which is again the opposite direction, driving to Port Lincoln
Yep.
at 17% battery.
Wow.
Yeah. At that point, I start panicking. I start asking him, hey, mate, what's the blah, 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 blah. He's not answering the phone. I am getting really nervous. Like, what is this guy doing? And then he just goes, eventually he calls me back and said, no, mate, it's all good. Again, very amicable guy. I just didn't realize it. I'm going to Port Lincoln. I'm just going to leave it plugged. Don't worry about it. I'm going to charge the car to go back. I was like, mate, I don't think you have a plan and you won't make it back unless you are at 100%. It's like, no, I'm going to do everything to charge it to 100%. I did not know at that point that there was like a 22 kilowatt charger in Port Lincoln. And that's what he was doing. He was taking that to charge, and apparently he was working on his laptop.
Did he know that there was one there?
Yes,
or?
he
Okay.
checked it, and that's what. And apparently,
So did he tell you about that as well?
no,
or
he
not?
did not tell me that. But he just said like, oh, I'll just make sure that it's gonna be charged. Long story short, eventually I see that it's charging at 22 kilowatts. He charges to 100%.
Yep.
And long story short, he comes back to Adelaide, and I kind of confront him and said, mate. And again, very amicable, no, I'm sorry this and I'm sorry that. And it's just, he starts blaming the app. It's the app. Because you have the app, you're able to tell you and that makes you nervous. Like, well, yeah, the app was not the villain here, The fact that I was getting all of these notifications.
Yeah, I guess if you think about it an alternative way, if he had told you, I'm planning to go to Port Lincoln and back, when he first hired the car, what would have been like then? Like, how would you have felt if he'd been upfront about it and very clear with his plan?
I reckon I would have been okay. I would have said, well, okay, just make sure you have a plan. Where are you going to charge? Let's go. Let's do this together. I've never driven the car that far. I don't even know if it's doable on this time period of 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, and then when I would have seen him, I was like, oh, well, he's going to Port Lincoln. That's all good and fine. But the problem is that he said, I may go for a drive. I have a couple of work appointments. Now, he never mentioned that those work appointments were in Port Lincoln and in Arno Bay.
Yeah.
So that's the little bit that he left out. So essentially, he drove the car back, and he put over 2,000 kilometers, which is
2,000.
2,000 kilometers in 3 days.
Wow.
And
That's
the car at that point, when he got it, had like something like 4,000 kilometers. So he put 50% more kilometers over 3 days.
Yep.
For essentially making 400 whatever dollars that I made. So those are the caveats of renting your Tesla. Now, he was nice enough to get it almost fully charged, get it washed, like detailed and washed, and I still need to charge him for the superchargers because that's another thing that you need to do. Since the superchargers go directly to your account, you need to charge them.
Yeah. Well, when I hired a Tesla through Eeve, I did go over that limit. I went over the 250 kilometre per day limit because I went down to Mount Gambier. Like I was very clear when I hired it that that's what I was planning to do. In the initial messages, I got a question, what are you planning to do? And I said, my wife and I were heading to Mount Gambier and back. Would it be good to try the Tesla? So yeah, I was clear that's what I was going to do. Then when I got back, because I'd gone over the limit, then he charged me the extra amount because there's like a per kilometre rate extra.
67 cents.
Did you charge that extra amount too?
No, and I didn't, because he said, if you're going to charge me that extra amount, I'll just drive the car back and we call it a day. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted him to enjoy the car, like I really did. And I was like, okay, well, he has told me he's 300 or 400 kilometers away. He's probably gonna go like, I don't know, a few 100 kilometers more over, but you know, that's about it. It's not a big deal. You know, he has 750 Ks, he may put 1,000.
Yeah.
All right. You know, I can live with that. But I was not ready for him to go over 2,000. Now, the good thing about the platform is that you get a mobile phone and you can always communicate with them.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've done with another person that actually hired the car for 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh, mate, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. Would you mind giving me a hand? And so this is something that will happen. And it's,
yeah, so you can answer questions and help them out if they want, that sort of thing.
Yes, yeah. And it's a good thing. Like, at least for me, it's a good thing, because you know that they're taking care of your car and you know that you're helping them. And if you were hiring this car, you would, would like to feel like, there's a little bit more to that. Mm-hmm. So it is not a one-time thing, a one solution thingy, and then you just forget about it. Mm-hmm. It's not that. It's the money worth it? Well, the main issue now, and we just discovered this before we started recording, is that there's I don't remember doing it, but there's a 3-day discount that has brought my $250 a day to 600 and something. Yeah. So out of 750 that, for example, that guy would have gotten, would have had to pay, I only got $423 for those 3 days. For all of that nightmare, for 2,000 kilometers on my car, for all of that, that's how much I got. Yeah. So you have lots of control over what people are doing with the car and how long they're hiring it for. Mm-hmm. So that is good. And you end up deciding, but it's a learning curve for sure. Yeah. So I would be...
I guess that would be part of the platform, right? The platform would have those discounts, and I'm sure if you looked into it, it would show, okay, if someone hires your car for 3 days, that they would get a discount. Because I'm pretty sure when I hired mine, I got the 3-day discount too.
So we'll put it here if I could take it or not, right? Yeah. Here. I've gotten lots of people that have, hired for a day, and they just want to go and try it, and they're happy to have a conversation with you for, a couple of, for 20, 30 minutes about what they expect, if they want to buy a new one, before that a guy just hired for a day, and then he came back, he gave me the card, and he said, I'm buying that car. Yep. Exactly. I don't want anything else. I want that car. I want it in that color. I want it. And I felt really good. I was like, yeah, mate, you should buy this car because it's a freaking awesome car.
Well, that's a success story, right? You've been able to share, like somebody's been able to try your car out. They love it so much they want to get their own. And that's the kind of thing that is another reason. It's not just the reason about the money. It's also having more people to try the car. And a lot of people say with Teslas, if you get butts in seats, if you get somebody to try it and to drive it around, and they realize how much better it is compared to their existing car or a petrol car, they really want one. So I think that's another reason I want more people to be in electric cars. So that's why I would also want to hire it out.
Absolutely. And like you said, that's what I would consider a success story. People get, how can I say, converted, not only in Teslas, but in all electric cars, because they are amazing. They are awesome. They are the future, and I have no doubt about that. Like, they are absolutely great. So...
But there's a lot of misinformation, and a lot of people don't know what they're actually like to drive.
Yes. But once they drive them, I don't know anyone, not a single person, that has driven an electric vehicle, Tesla or whatever else, or maybe not a Leaf because of the range, and because it's not the car for everything that lots of people need. But in general, people that have driven an electric car and they haven't said, that's an amazing drive. Like, it may not be for them at that particular point because they drive a lot and whatever. Mm-hmm. But for that reason, it's a really good way of sharing.
I don't know. I guess what I'm thinking about is that it's sure, that is a horror story. It makes me worried about it a little bit, that somebody would do that if I was to hire my car out as well. I don't know. But at the same time, how often would that happen? Would that be every second hire, or would that be like a rare thing that happens occasionally?
If I wouldn't have said anything, and I would have just gone and charged him for the extra case, I would have made a lot of money. I would have made like
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I
$700 or
almost-
$800.
I almost, like, if I was in that situation, I would do that myself. I'm just like, okay, well, yeah, you drove it over the limit, so we'll charge you that amount, and yeah, then it's it is their fault for doing that.
Yeah, I know, and maybe that's what I should have done, but I really didn't want to do that because of what we're talking about. You know, I didn't want that to be a sour experience.
Yeah, but I guess at the same time though, like, if they are, I don't know, to me from your story, it sounds like they were lying to you. They were withholding information about what they were planning to do with the
Yes.
car. They obviously knew kind of what they were doing if they were able to know where charges were and things like that, but they also withheld that information.
So that is one horror story, but there's other stuff that, for example, there's a lot of people that don't feel comfortable just sharing their car, and I am one of, well, not so me, but Lily is one of those people. She's
So
not.
is it your wife?
Yes, she's not, and you can understand it because another couple that leased the car from us, I am fairly certain they may have had sex in my car.
Okay.
Well, let's just say that the back seat had some oily marks that looked a lot like a back. I don't know. I had to wipe them down, and there was nothing else, just that.
Yeah.
But there were a couple that were flying for Perth, and they were going to a wedding, and they were going to go to a party, and they were very excited about the Tesla. So I don't know how excited they got.
Sounds like they got very excited.
That even ended up playing on the reason why I ended up canceling the Model Y, which is a video for another day. But that was part of it, because I don't know. So I don't know if I would have been able to hire the Model Y and Lily's Model 3 now. So this one was a hire car, and we got it to hire it. But we're gonna sell this one, and then get the Model Y, and then keep Lily's car, which is the blue Model 3. Which means that we would have to hire one of our cars, not a rental car, but
Yep.
one of our particularly owned cars. And I know that Lishi, your wife,
Yeah.
is sort of in the same boat, isn't she?
Like, we've got an older petrol car, we could use that, but then we have to change the baby seat between the two cars. Yeah, it's just a lot of work potentially, which I think is I could do it because I'm passionate about it, but it depends. If I have a bad experience and I have to do all that work, then it's less exciting and less about, like, worth all the money.
Absolutely. And that is something that happened to me as well. Like, for all of that time, we are lucky enough that Lily has a company car that she decides not to use because it's just a tiny little car and she doesn't like it.
Yep.
But we have access to that company car.
Yeah.
But we have to go through all of those things that you described. Like, I have to go and take the children's seat out of the back. I have to go and clean it. I have to go and, take it to the wash and then give it a vacuum and then do all of those things. Charge it. Like the last time with this guy that I was talking about, the guy that brought back the car brought it back at 3 o'clock with something like 24% battery, and I needed to be at 100% by 9 a.m. the next day. So I have to go and literally go to a supercharger because it was not going to make it.
Well, because you don't have a fast charger at home, right?
I do not, like you do.
Whereas I do. I have the wall box you can buy on the Tesla store and have it installed by an electrician on a separate circuit, and that is a lot faster than
than just the regular one. Absolutely. So anyway, regardless of one thing or another, that's all information, I guess, Kieran.
Yeah.
So people can make their own choices and their own decisions.
Yeah, I have to think about it. I'm not sure if I would yet. I still haven't decided. I think as the car maybe has a couple of scratches and I'm not as precious about it. But,
Correct.
But yeah, I don't know if I'm comfortable yet. But I'll have to chat with my wife, and maybe it will be worth it. The money is
The
great.
money is there, yes. And you talked about scratches. Probably one more thing before we go to consider is the wheels, because we all know that the wheels of a Tesla scratch just by staring at them. I think last time that we were talking about it, I said just by whispering sidewalk, they would get scratched. So that is one of the main things, and it's something that I always go through with people when they are hiring a car. Like, look, mate, just consider this.
Yeah.
This is something that you should always know. Anyway.
Yeah, worry about the fact that the wheels are wider than normal cars and also have small sidewalls, which means that the rims are very likely to get scratched.
Yes. One more thing. I don't know if we put this later on, but there's something else that I forgot to mention, and it is important, which is that there's an excess for the
Yep.
There's an excess for the person that hires the car in insurance, and it's really high. And about a week ago, I got an email, and they were saying that it's even higher now. So the excess for someone renting the car, if something happens to it, again, depending on the age and whatever you want, it can be up to $5,000 to $8,000 for
So the
excess.
insurance that you paid a lot more for, the excess, if you do need to make a claim, is still quite high.
It is really high, but I don't pay the excess, they do.
Oh,
But
okay.
still, so
Alright.
I don't. Yeah. I mean,
So the person hiring the car pays the excess. So that's good, I guess.
but
depending.
what I don't know is what happens if I do something to the car. Do I need to pay that ridiculous excess? Because that may be a problem.
But I guess you still have your own insurance, right?
No, that's the only insurance. You cannot have two insurances in a car.
Oh, so that replaces your normal
That
insurance in
that
your car
replaces your that
while you're
complete-
hiring it.
Yes, well, and even when you're driving it around.
Okay.
So
that's interesting.
That is,
I hadn't thought of that. That's quite makes it something that I definitely have to consider.
and there it is. Okay, so
Yeah.
Kieran, thank you very much. I'm dropping you home now.
Yeah.
Nice drive.
Nice drive. Yeah, it was good. Good to hear about your experience with the hire. And now I've got more information. I'll see if I can hire one out. And if so, I might have another story. Hopefully it's good stories. If I do.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
otherwise, yeah. But that's it for now.
That's it for now. See you next time.
Thank you.